Hello and welcome to another episode of Scouting with Mr. Josh. Today we are going to be working on our Bear Claws adventure that you will find in your Bear Cub Scout Handbook on pages 50 and 51. This is a required adventure in order to achieve your Bear Cub ranking at the end of the year. At the end of this, you will also earn your Whittling Chip, which is a card that you will keep with you that says that you have been trained to safely and effectively handle a pocket knife. So first, let's go through the requirements of this adventure. The first requirement is learn about 3 common designs of pocket knives. Number 2, learn knife safety and earn your Whittling Chip. Number 3, do one of the following. A, using a pocket knife, carve 2 items. B, with a pocket knife, safely perform each of these tasks. 1, demonstrate how to cut a piece of rope, twine, or fishing line. Number 2, open a sealed box without damaging the contents. Number 3, open a can with the can opener tool on a pocket knife. Number 4, remove and replace the screws on an object with the screwdriver tool on a pocket knife. Number 5 is open a letter. It's noted here as well that pocket knives are great tools to have on campouts. You can use them to carve hiking sticks, cut up food when you are cooking, and even open bottles and cans. But you have to know how to use them the right way in order to stay safe. Learning to use pocket knives and making neat things with them is what this adventure is all about. Now that we know the requirements for completing this adventure, let's begin with requirement 1. We're going to learn about 3 common designs of pocket knives. The first one we're going to learn about is a jackknife. A jackknife is a good tool for campers and fishermen. It is hinged at only one end and may have 1 or 2 sharp blades. Sometimes the blade has a very sharp point, while another blade has a more rounded point. As you can see, this one has a very sharp point. Some jackknives and other knives have locking blades. That means that you have to push a release before you can close the blade. Locking blades prevent you from accidentally closing the blade on your fingers. This, as stated, has a locking blade. As you can see, I cannot close this knife without hitting the release. The release is right here. There's a little indention that you can see that I will push the release over with my thumb and then begin to close the blade. Our second blade knife is a penknife. A penknife is small and lightweight, so it is easy to carry in your pocket. It is hinged at both ends and usually has 1 or 2 blades at each end. As we can see from this knife, that end has 2 blades, the other end has 1 blade. Penknives were originally designed to cut or sharpen quills used for writing. Thomas Jefferson wrote the Declaration of Independence with a quill pen. So these were used to sharpen the quill pens. As you can see, there are 3 different styles of blades here. On this end here, we have a more rounded point and blade. The blade right here has a more sharp point, comes to a straight sharp point. And then the blade here kind of comes to a flat edge at the top and rounded on the back. So 3 different styles of blades for this one knife. Our third knife type is a multi-purpose knife. Multi-purpose knives can be used to do many things. In addition to one or 2 blades, a multi-purpose knife might include a can opener, scissors, leather punch, tweezers, and screwdriver. I've got two different types of multi-purpose knives here. One is what you would consider a Swiss Army knife, more of the type that they're talking about here. So this has, as mentioned, a couple of different blades, a longer blade and a shorter blade. We've got a can opener along with a small flat screwdriver. We have a larger flat screwdriver with a bottle opener, and also, if you can see, there's a notch right below the bottle opener that is used for stripping wire. If I flip this over, I have a corkscrew, and finally the leather punch that they were speaking about. And then up top we have a toothpick as well as a small pair of tweezers. The other type of multi-purpose knife we have is either a multi-tool or sometimes referred to as a Leatherman. As you can see, there are pliers at the top that also have kind of a cutting blade here that you can use to cut wire or small limbs. We have a knife blade, a bottle opener with a screwdriver, a larger flat screwdriver, a much smaller flat screwdriver, and a file. Turning around to the other side, we have a saw blade, some sort of an eyeing tool, a Phillips head screwdriver, and finally a can opener. So these knives can be fun to have, but all those extra pieces can get in your way when you're just trying to carve something or cut some string. Also, the more tools that your knife includes, the heavier it will be. Pick a multi-purpose knife that has only the tools that you really need. If you go searching online, you can find some of these Swiss Army knives with 50 to 60 tools and can be up to about 3 to 4 inches wide. That's not something that we need for almost any use. Like I said, it's hard to handle, where this one is very small, lightweight, and easy to handle, and has just enough tools for what we're going to need out on a camping trip or hiking, or for most anything that we're going to do. Now that we've completed requirement number 1 of this adventure, let's move on to requirement number 2. You may follow along on page 55 of your Bear Cub Scout Handbook. Requirement number 2 is learn knife safety and earn your whittling chip. At the top of the page it states, it is very important to be safe when you are using your pocket knife. In this requirement, you will learn the rules of knife safety and earn your whittling chip. When you have earned your whittling chip, you will be allowed to carry your pocket knife to designated Cub Scout activities. Your parent or den leader will tell you when you may bring your knife. Always keep your whittling chip card with you when you are carrying your pocket knife. Knife safety rules to learn and live by. A knife is a tool, not a toy. Know how to sharpen a knife. A sharp knife is safer than a dull knife because it is less likely to slip and cut you. Keep the blade clean and dry. Never carry an open pocket knife. When you are not using your knife, close it using the palm of your hand and put it away. When you are using the cutting blade, do not try to make big shavings or chips. Cut slowly and steadily. Make a safety circle. Before you pick up your knife to use it, stretch your arm out and turn in a circle. If you cannot touch anyone or anything else, it is safe to use your knife. While using your knife, be sure to watch in case someone walks toward you and gets too close. If that happens, put your knife away until it is safe to continue. Always cut away from you, never toward you. Never hand a knife to someone else blade first. Learn and use the eye contact method of handing a knife to someone else. Do not release the knife until the other person makes eye contact with you and acknowledges he or she is receiving the knife. Never use a knife on something that will dull or break it. Never throw a knife for any reason. Always think before you cut. Do not use your knife to strip bark from a tree or to carve your initials into something that does not belong to you. Once you understand the safety rules, agree to abide by the pocket knife pledge, complete your project, and have your den leader sign your card, you will have earned your Whittling Chip. The pocket knife pledge, it says that I understand the reasons for safety rules. I will treat my pocket knife with the respect due to a useful tool. I will always close my pocket knife and put it away when I am not using it. I will not use my pocket knife when it might injure someone near me. I promise never to throw my pocket knife for any reason. I will use my pocket knife in a safe manner at all times. So let's go through these rules one by one. Now that we know and understand our knife safety rules, we're going to learn how to sharpen our knives. We're going to use a sharpening stone as a good way to sharpen our knife. As you can see by the sharpening stone, it has two different surfaces. The first side that we'll use is the coarse or rough side. If you feel it, you can feel that it's fairly rough. If you flip it over, this will be the second side that we use. This is the smoother side. Very smooth. So we're going to lay the blade on the stone at a slight angle. We're going to push the blade forward as if you were going to shave a thin sliver from the stone. So like this, slight angle and forward. Do not push down hard. Next, turn the blade over and shave the stone toward you. So like so. This is the only time that you should move your knife blade toward you. Keep your fingers below the surface of the stone to protect them. As you can see, my fingers and my thumb are below the top of this, so that when the knife blade goes over it, my fingers are out of the way. Continue this back and forth action until the edge is sharp along its entire length. So again, keeping the edge at a slight angle. Like we're shaving a thin piece of the stone off. Slowly and without a lot of pressure. If you put too much pressure on, you could slip with the blade and end up cutting yourself. especially when you're cutting toward yourself. So you want to do it very smoothly, lightly, and gradually. Once you've gotten a fairly sharp blade, you can see that the stone has done a pretty nice job of knocking off the rough edges. I'm going to turn the stone over and I'm going to use my smooth edge. The smooth side of the stone will help take any of the rough edges off. The key here is to make sure that you're doing both sides with the same amount of strokes. That's why I'm doing a back and forth. Back and forth, so that I know that I've always done the same number of strokes every time across. So like we said before, pull across the stone as if you're shaving a small piece from the stone. So we'll check our blade. We'll check our blade by moving our fingers across the knife blade at a side. If it feels very rough, then we know that it's sharpened. Once you are done sharpening, you can take your paper towel or rag, and on the flat side, the non-blade side, wipe any of the stone shavings or metal shavings off of your blade. Make sure it's clean. Another way to make sure it's clean, spray it with a little WD-40, a little oil, and wipe that off with your paper towel. That will make sure that it stays clean, that it resists water, and resisting water will also help to keep it from rusting. The next of our safety rules that we're going to explore a little deeper is to make a safety circle. In order to make a safety circle, we're going to stretch our arm out to one side, and we're going to spin all the way around, making sure that we cannot touch anyone or anything else. If we can do this, then we know that it is safe to use our knife. If anyone or anything comes into our safety circle while we are using our knife, we are to put our knife away immediately until it is safe to use it once again. The next thing we're going to learn how to do is learn how to make a stop cut. The book reads, "Here is a secret to use when you're whittling. Before you make a shaving cut, make a stop cut. At the place you want the shaving to stop, cut straight down with your knife. Press down and rock the blade back and forth until the cut is as deep as you want the shaving to go. This stop cut will prevent you from shaving off too much wood." To do this, we're going to use our bar of soap. Why a bar of soap? Because it is soft, easy to cut, easy to shave, and you won't likely cut yourself because you won't have to put too much effort in to cut it. So first, I'm going to take my blade, as it said. I'm going to go straight down, rocking the blade back and forth until the stop cut is as deep as I would like it to be. So see, now I've got a nice little wedge for the stop cut. So from there, I'll start my shaving cut. Now remember, we always cut away from ourselves. We'd never cut toward ourselves. So I'm going to put my knife down like that, and I'm going to start shaving nice and thin, just like that. And you see that that stop cut stopped our blade from going too far. So that is why we use our stop cut. The next safety rule that we're going to learn about, my son Jackson will help us to demonstrate. It is how to hand a knife to somebody properly and safely. First off, you never hand a knife to somebody blade first. If we have a knife that has a folding or locking type blade mechanism, make sure that all of the blades are closed so that you cannot cut somebody. Second, we're going to learn the eye contact method of handing somebody a knife. Do not release the knife until the other person makes eye contact with you and acknowledges that he or she has received it. So we're going to demonstrate that right now. I'm going to hand him this knife. Jackson, I'm giving you this knife.
Thank you, I've got it.
Then I let go. I did not let go until he told me, with both giving me eye contact and verbally, that he has received this knife. That is a proper way and safe way to hand somebody a knife. The last thing that we need to learn about to complete requirement 2 of this adventure is first aid for knife cuts. As we all know, accidents can happen, even if you are being careful. It's important to know what to do if you or one of your fellow scouts gets cut while using a pocket knife. Small cuts in the skin can allow bacteria to enter the body and cause infections. This is why it is very important for us to have a first aid kit on hand anytime we're doing any type of scouting activity, especially those that involve knives, hand tools, or anything that can cause injury or illness. First, we want to make sure that we wash minor cuts with soap and water. If soap and water is not available, make sure you have something to be able to clean the wound. This is an antiseptic towelette, alcohol swabs, hydrogen peroxide, or anything else that can sterilize and clean the wound would be sufficient. After that, you need to apply an antibiotic ointment and cover the wound with a dressing or adhesive bandage in order to prevent infection from occurring and to protect the wound. You need to clean and rebandage the wounds each day. If the cut is more serious, get help from an adult immediately. Taking proper care of a wound will help prevent other health issues like an infection. This is why it's also important to make sure that our first aid kit is fully stocked at all times. Make sure that you have antiseptic towelettes or something that we can use to clean a wound. Make sure that you have antibiotic ointment in your kit. And make sure you have an array of sizes of bandages in case any type of wounds or injuries occur. It is very important that if you use one of these items in your first aid kit, to replace it as soon as possible. Once you have completed the items discussed in this video, you will have met requirement 1 and 2 of the Bear Claws adventure. You will have also earned your Whittling Chip. To complete the Bear Claws adventure, you will need to complete either item 3A or 3B, which will be discussed in a later video. Thank you for watching, and have fun scouting safely.